Well, Olle, thank you so much for joining us today. For the benefit of the people listening or watching this, Olle is the co-founder of AirForestry, and he's kindly joined us on the podcast today to talk through not only the business, but also the steps that he's taken to get to where he is today. So it'd be great just to start off with just understanding a bit about the origin story of AirForestry. What was it that inspired you to launch the company? And I guess was there a pivotal moment where you realized that this was the path you wanted to take?
So you need to go back kind of far to understand how the idea come up to fly with a big drones and harvesting trees from above with a drone platform that is 6 meters wide. It's kind of futuristic and science fiction in a lots of sense. But the reason is I'm grown up on a family farm, six generations. I've been planting trees with my grandpa. Got the chance to take over that. But meanwhile, I'm waiting for be a farmer again. I was that as a child also. I become a mechanical engineer. I worked at Scania trucks and buses and was developing the first hybrid buses and trucks. So I got really into the electrification of transportation. But then I got the chance to take over the family farm and move up to Uppsala in Sweden. And I joined the Swedish Forest Research Institute, Skogforsk, and was coordinating and initiating a lot of technology projects towards traditional forest machines. And it was during that I was building forwarder concept machines, autonomous machines, better working environment, try to electrify these machines and make them more gentle towards the forest floor, the operators, the environment, and more efficient. And then my co-founder Maurits, that's now CTO at the company, called me or popped up on my office and introduced a drone platform that he said he could build, and he has the background in electric aviation, and he's showed me simulations that it's really energy efficient to fly from above, and I fly with drones and handling cargo compared to driving on soft soil. And I was like, can we do something in the forest sector with this type of drones? And with all my knowledge on forest management, forest machines, and the forest operations and the challenges that you have in the forest industry with land-based machines, it was like a no-brainer to move it up to the air. So I drew a sketch on a whiteboard, and and this is how we can do. We can fly in, we can pick up trees, and we can fly them out to the roadside. And because we have limitation in the payload capacity in the beginning, we start with commercial thinning operations, where you pick up smaller and sick and diseased trees from the forest stand to create more valuable timber, more resilient forest in general, and the forest left behind. And you still create important wood values for the industry and the customers. And basically, same day, a little later, he called me after I'd done some calculations and shall we start the company? And I had done my calculation and said, yeah, let's go. And the reason was that if not I'm doing it, that have all these domain knowledges, and my co-founder that have the domain knowledges do it, no one else will do it, basically. So, and it was so important to start it, because it has a huge, great impact and value for the society to start managing forests from above. It's a long story. Try to keep it short.
Yeah, no, it's a great story, and you mentioned that if you guys didn't do it, then no one would. So, is this a first of a kind technology?
Yeah, it is. It's no one else what we know of that have tried to do it the same things, and what we know of, it's no one else that are doing it, and that's one reason. The traditional machines manufacturer would never do it, because they build their big machines, they're used to it, they are streamlined to do it, and they will not innovate themselves, they will not disrupt their own business, so to say, and to find someone else that have that background that me and my co-founder have, it's really rare. I would say together we have almost like 50, 80 years of experience in this field, because I've been working with forest since I could walk, basically. And my co-founder worked with electric aviation since he could basically control something. So that's, I think, the reason why we could innovate in this space, because we have been in the industries for so long time, and we know what's possible, and we know what's not, what the what's the problem is. So yeah, we are the first in this space, but we know.
Yeah, amazing. In your previous position, had you mentioned you were working on autonomous vehicles? Were they prototypes, or had any of them kind of launched fully commercially?
No, that was like research project. So we have autonomous machines traversing terrain, but really on a concept level. And it works really good to traverse terrain autonomously on with stereo cameras and leaders and so on. But the forest is a so heterogeneous environment where you need to traverse big rocks and deep snow, wet condition. It could be dry conditions. Uh, the surroundings changing all the time, and to learn or program or build a machine that autonomously can train that heterogeneous environment is really challenging. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And when you look at making that leap, therefore, to air forestry and actually scaling up a concept to the point where it's going to become commercially viable, um, what were the main challenges that you faced in getting it off of the ground?
the main challenges is with all technology, especially if it's so completely new as our idea, is to get support from the industry and from the customers, and to get finance for something that is so different. So that's the biggest challenges. Both me and Maurits was like regular employees, so we didn't have any backup reserves from ourselves, and we have both families that we need to support, and find capital to start is really challenging, I would say. But the good thing for us was uh, that I got really good industry connections by me working with industry for 8 years. I could call some industry companies where know their technical as chief of staff, technical chiefs, and introducing the concept for them and say that, can you sponsoring us with some proof of concept uh, cash? And they say yes, because it's you, and we know what you have done before for the forest industry regarding autonomous projects and electrification projects and so on. Uh, we believe that it's something behind this, and so we got like the first like 50,000 K to start a concept study and prove that we could harvest trees from above with a crane platform, and also building our first drone platform, small scale. And from that, we got started. The first investments coming from that concept study, and so on. It's been going, but it's of course a challenge. It's capital intensive to build hardware.
Yeah, no, of course. And I guess that leads me on to the seed round that you raised recently. So congratulations on that. It was a really good amount. How did you kind of go from getting 50K up to getting this quite large seed round?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm been spending a lot of time to capital and financing of this journey. In the beginning, I tried to be both in the technology and in the financing of this company. So we started in the beginning a lot with working with grants, and with that also we could uh, leverage uh, um, the equity investments from investors. So the first we got this small customer cash, and that led to that we got the first investment from Balderud family, and it was really like in between. Just took 3 months from like the first customer cash after the first investment from investors, and that was the family Valorud Ventures. And then also Caroline joined the company, and she was like the first in. So she is one of our fourth co-founders that was from the beginning, and she is still with us, and amazing to build companies and done it a lot before. And with her help and with us building the technology, we could bring in a lot of angel investors from basically her networks. And so that led us to like a pre-seed round that we had. And then it was a really challenging time in 2022-3 to find capital. And so we launched a convertible in the autumn by 2020 to buy more time to close a financing round and get. But I think to get to a good round, you need to interact with investors in an early stage. You need to invite them to your team, to your facilities, to demonstrate your concept. I would say take like a half year to relationship building, to have dialogues, to coffee, invite them to your to demonstration days and so on. And you need to build long-term relations. So all investors that was in the seed round now have been following the company for shortest a half year to up to almost 2 years. And I think to start, get to know your investors in an early stage. It's a really key, especially if you have something that is hard, like hardware, but is deep tech, that they need to rely that this is the team behind it will stay for the time it is required to get to the target.
Yeah, no, definitely. And on that, the challenging environment for fundraising currently. Is there kind of a pivotal moment in your career that you could maybe highlight that helps you prepare for those challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have always been like really into to sell stuff or speak for ideas and try to convince people to join forces. So I have a really high strength of inclusion in my profile. And that means that I have a tendency to include people in new ideas and start new. And that is, I think, a really important thing to have with you, that you're good to bring people together. And also like when I worked at the Swedish Forest Research Institute, I got the chance to financing basically all the projects. And that means that I had that idea and then I need to pitch it for the industry companies to get finance from the industry, and then also leverage it with government grant funding. And so I pulled off a really huge autonomous project to build like the first autonomous forwarder called Auto 2. And I think that was like the biggest milestones when it comes to bringing in a lot of capital for a research project. So both get good support from the industry and from the government. So it was a 2 million euro project. And then you need to both combine industry, customer, and write an application and promote your concept to get the grants. And I think that was the point in my life, and that was, I think, 2018 or something, that we filed that application and building up that, and also all agreements regarding IP and so on. So I got like a full knowledge about building something new and get project finance for that, and what's the requirements on that. And I could reuse all of that work with the grant application for AirForestry also. I had the playbook, what you need to have in an application to get it approved. Basically, you need to address society issues. You need to have in something that is innovative, that no one had done before, and so on. and from there you can build a good application. And this basically the same also investors look for, is that you have a huge idea that you could.
Yeah. No, of course. Brilliant. And you mentioned earlier about Caroline coming into the team and being very helpful during that funding round. Was Caroline someone that was kind of known to yourself or your co-founder, or how did she get involved with the company?
Yeah, absolutely. There was we have also the co-founder called Marcus that was with us in the beginning, and he invested a lot of time in understanding the ecosystem regarding angel investors and venture capital investments and how to get finance from that space. So with his research on that, with my grant expertise and my customer expertise, could actually get financing from three sources. And we also got a loans. We have four source of financing. And he had looked up and found that the family of Ollerud was a really, really important player to interact with. They invest in good stuff and in and they bring a lot of value with them also, because they not just invest in the company, they also start working operational in the company to help building the company the first at least 2 years. But I convinced Curly that this is too good to not let go after 2 years, and now she is working with us for 100% instead. So
Brilliant.
yeah,
Excellent.
she helped us a lot in the beginning, both coming from the investor space, knowing what the investors needs, communication regarding that, and so on and so on. So it's been a really great asset to have for this journey.
Brilliant. No, it sounds like you've got a great team. And you mentioned about kind of your leadership style and how that's been influenced by your previous experience. I guess for any other leaders that are listening to this podcast, how would you say that an organization like AirForestry could create a culture that fosters career development and innovation within their workforce, within their team?
Yeah. So both me and my co-founder Maurits have been working in research, innovative companies before, and we have seen both big companies like Scania, but also Autoliv, and we try to take the best from all the worlds and re-innovate also the workspace. It's really hard, but we have a really flat organization where we don't have any middle managers basically at all today. We run a team structure. So we have lots of teams and team leads that have their own mandate to make decisions, to move forward. And we together with the teams set up targets and goals in the organizations. And we aim to have a really open culture, but really focus on the target. But I would say it's building culture is really challenging to make it as good as you want it to be. You would like to have employees that have the grit and the will to go the extra mile to delivering the targets. Yes.
Excellent. And how big is the team now?
We're 33 employees in the team that works for this, and we would like to scale it even larger. But the capital is restricting us to stay at this level for a little while now. Maybe increase it a little bit, but we will be in that size for at least 1 year, I think.
So your team is mostly based around Uppsala. Have you found that most of the talent for AirForestry is based within that local area, or have you got anyone from abroad or from other parts of Sweden and relocated them to Uppsala?
Yeah, we have reallocate some people actually to Uppsala. I think maybe 4 people that have moved to Uppsala to be working with us. Otherwise, I found the most people in Uppsala area. I would say Stockholm area. We are connected in the Stockholm region, so it's we can recruit people from Stockholm and the area around there. So it's good communications and commute possibilities in the area. So we have a kind of great pool to hire from. But and we have found the most competence in the local area. Of course, there are. We could be great to have a bigger recruitment base, and we get some application, of course, from abroad, but we have not have a complete match yet in that regard. But we are recruiting from everywhere, but we see. We still build the team locally in that sense that we would like to have them in the office at least 2 days a week is like a minimum. 3 days is completely okay, but less than that, we try to avoid people that not can be here and building the culture. Also, we have some people working remote, and we see that when they are away for a long time. They do focus on wrong things. They delivering solutions that are not connected to the rest of the team and the rest of the organization. We have a challenge. We see challenges to have developers working remote, especially if they need to be integrating in the rest of the teams. So that's my experience of that, and I think. You could have remote teams, but then the complete team basically need to be remote. Say they work together, integrated on a remote platform-based solution. But if like half of the team is local and 1 or 2 are not on remote, it would be challenging, I would say, to make them work efficiently.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the people side of things, looking at the drones, do they require human operators, or are they going to become, or are they fully autonomous?
It will be an autonomous solution. So we work today. It's manual controlled, but we see all the steps for harvesting a tree from the drone platform will be full autonomous. We can fly autonomously from A to B already today. We can find the trees with computer vision already today, and we can handling the tree with a harvesting system autonomously today. So we just need to integrate it and make it robust enough to make it basically full autonomous. And that's also a key aspect in the solution. It needs to be highly autonomous to be competitive towards land-based machines.
Yes, yeah, understood. And I guess that's when you'll then have a fleet of drones operating at the same time. Yeah, excellent.
So that's correct. So one operator can manage a group or a fleet of drones to get the performance that you need from each employee or operators in the forest environment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, and you mentioned that the drones are kind of then utilizing computer vision to identify which trees to target. Is there also kind of an Earth observation play here, where you're kind of mapping out a larger area to know kind of which part of the forest you should target initially?
Absolutely. That's already existing. A lot of satellite data, airborne LiDAR scans, and so on, and also lots of other type of data, weather data. So combining all of this and data for better understanding the forest needs, but drones will also use local sensors on board to make micromanagement decisions and get better resolutions of the forest. So that's mean we can see and detect different type of habitats, growing conditions, tree health, pests, diseases, invasive species, and so on, and make good decisions in the forest operation.
Amazing. And that's a lot of highly innovative technologies kind of all rolled into one. Have there been any significant learning curves in implementing any of these innovations?
Yes, I think so. I think we have a lot of know-how internally now, what we need to have for sensors and so on. And we had also there, we had a lot of good background knowledges in sensors. So both Maurits, my co-founder, I worked with leaders and did his PhD in lasers and so on. So he had a really good background there. And so we did already in the beginning know really well what we needed to have for sensors to detect what we would like to see. But detecting the trees from above was no one have done what we needed. So we needed to find ourselves new algorithms to detect the tree trunk. And there we have a really innovative solution today to find the trees better from the drone from above. Um,
Brilliant. And with the drones now, obviously you need to scale it up so that you have a fleet of drones working autonomously. But in terms of the drone itself, is that the final product, or is it still kind of in a prototype form?
we are on generation 3 of the drones, and it will be at least 2 iterations more to be at the final stage. It's a full-size drone that have been there for a long time now. What we are fixing is the drivetrain, performance, weight optimizations, weather resilience. It needs to be complying with snow, rain, wind, dust, oil, sawdust, and also on. So now we are making it more robust, basically, from now on,
Hmm. Hmm.
to be in that environment that it needs to be.
Yeah, yeah. So would it be able to operate in kind of the north of Sweden in very
Yes.
remote? Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
So it's designed how to work in an Arctic condition. So
Mm,
so that's
okay.
minus 20 degrees shall be no problem, and light snowstorms shall not be a problem either. So it's a
Yeah.
really robust platform, and it's designed to be working in really harsh environments.
Mm. And the kind of the ground-based autonomous systems that you were working on before and that are currently kind of out there on the market, are they also able to operate in such harsh conditions?
Yeah, they are. So the target for me and the team is to do a solution that can work in the same condition as the land-based machines, even better than the land-based machines in some sense. The land-based machine will probably be better to working in really high wind speeds and really heavy snow, and probably also, yeah, but that heavy snowfall and rain and really strong winds, the land-based machine probably outperform our solution. But the problem when it gets really wet conditions, it's rained for a long time, the soil gets soaked with water, and the machine starts to sink. And that's one aspect. And then if you got really lots of snow, like 1-2 meters that you can get in northern Sweden, the machines are really hard to traverse 1.5 meter snow coverage. You don't see where you go. You don't see the trees. It is really hard to operate in 1.5 meter snow depth.
Yeah, yeah, I can only imagine. Don't get that much snow over here.
Yep.
um,
So
so, and in terms of the competitive landscape, we touched upon there. Are you going to be competing with the more traditional forestry management companies, or are they your customers? Are you going to be kind of complementing what they have to work with?
the traditional machine, the traditional forest management companies are our customers. And so they buy the services from contractors and deploy it on their forest. So we have a tap-in solution for them to just change the land-based system to an airborne system. It will be no change. We can do the same job as before, even better, and then delivering a tree pile at roadside as they are used to. So that will be no change. What we are competing against probably is the big machine manufacturers that do bigger and bigger and heavier machines. They're so heavy today that it's hard to imagine. I don't know. Do you have any clue how heavy a forest machine is?
I've seen some pictures. They look pretty heavy, but a lot heavier than a Jeep.
Yeah, for sure. But a Jeep maybe weight like 1.5, 2 tons or something like that. And a forest machine weighs 20 ton each,
Wow.
and then you need 2. And the harvester probably weigh more than 20 ton also. And that's empty machine. And then you load it with 10 to 15 to 20 tons on top of that. So it means a
Yeah.
fully loaded forwarder can all weight up to 70 ton. So 70 ton.
Wow.
And it's the reason why they are damaging the soil in the forest and the forest floor. Too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's basically riding a tank through a forest,
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah,
at that
these are
point.
basically at tank size.
Yeah.
And I think the traditional machines, if I believe if we will continue to do a forest operation from the ground, the machines needs to be smaller, at least more lightweighted, so they're not compacting the soils too badly. There are some good solutions out there with rubber track forwarders that reducing the overall pressure on the ground, but they are still have a lots of challenges. And if get smaller, they have harder to traverse big rocks and 1.5 meter snow also.
Yeah. Yeah. No, makes sense. Looking forward, I mean, you mentioned a couple of things that are kind of coming up in the pipeline for AirForestry, but what's the longer term plan for the company? Are you looking at geographical expansion, or are there new areas of forestry management that you'd like to tackle?
And this is an important solution that needs to be accessible globally. We're looking at the moment, we're focusing on the Scandinavian and Baltic markets because it's our home turf. But we will also we have really good dialogues with Canada and mountain regions like the Alps and so on, and we got requests basically from every corners in the world for this solution, how they can work with it. But we see the Northern America have huge challenges now with forest fires and bark beetles outbreaks, and this solution can help change, restore, and adapt the forests. And we can also help fight fires with the drone platform, bringing water to the fire site. So that means that we could,
Oh, wow.
we have a focus actually on Northern America, especially Canada, to be helping them out to create a better forest management system and also a firefighting platform.
And does that require much modification on the drone platform?
No, it could be basically the same solution. So it's need to be the harvesting system needs to be adapted a little bit, probably. But otherwise, it will fit really well. The Canadian forest is a boreal forest and connected to the same type of forest that we're used to in Northern Europe.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, fantastic. Okay, that sounds really interesting. I guess to any other entrepreneurs that maybe are listening, any aspiring entrepreneurs, is there any advice that you could pass on to them that you think might be useful?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot. I've learned so much this year. So during these 4 years as an entrepreneur and building a company, so it's as a mechanical engineering on paper, but I gonna master in economics and uh, and also in was saying in rules and regulations and lawyers and so.
Yeah.
But I think you need to have you need to know your customer really well. You need to have been either working in the space or a customer yourself for the product or solution you are developing. And if you are not, you need to find one that are really into the customer and in the problem. You need to find a problem to solve, and you need to own that problem by yourself. And that's one thing you need to have. And the next is grit. You need to be crazy and what's it, a daredevil. You need to dare to challenging the things that are out there, and jumping out from the cliff and starting an uncertain journey. So you need to be and to do that. For me, I have a really nice family, a family farm, a really nice safety net behind me, and also living in Sweden where we have a really good safety net in the society also. But I think to dare to jump from the cliff, you need to have your home base to start from. I think it's really valuable. Of course, you can jump as a really young person without a family, of course, but you need to know who you are and feel confident in yourself. Second thing, know your customer, know yourself. So that's
and move to Sweden.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you need to expect that you need to live with the company. It's a part of yourself, basically. So you cannot. You need to expect that when you start. You don't need to work all the time, but you will always be on your mind. You will zoom out when you're looking on your kids' Christmas concert, and then start thinking on new patents or customers or whatever.
And are there any ways that you do find it useful for switching off at kind of those important times?
Yeah, I go out in the forest and do manual logging to switch off my brain, to cut the trees with that chainsaw. That's what I'm doing. And chopping wood, firewood for my neighbors and friends and myself. That's my brain dead work to relieve that stress.
Brilliant. Yeah, nice. It's not taking a complete break then from the company.
No, you can't escape it. I get to learn the wood fibers and how to deal and have trees more efficient. So it's a part of the job in the house. I say you need to link with the problem.
It's relaxation and research at the same time. Yeah. Brilliant, excellent. Well, I think that's pretty much everything for today. So, Olle, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a really interesting conversation. I'm sure the listeners would have got a lot from the answers that you provided. And if people want to learn more about AirForestry, where's the best place that they can find out more?
I think the best place to follow us is on LinkedIn. Because we post a lot from our engineers, from team, and from the field tests on our LinkedIn. We try to push it to our YouTube channel also. But otherwise, you can find on our web page, of course, new job possibilities and so on. So we have a lot of engineering positions out there today, especially test pilot. So that's flying a 6-meter drones is open job position we have at the moment.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, I'm sure there'll be some listening that will be interested in applying after that. So that's great. So, Olle, thank you so much for joining us today. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm sure everyone else listening has enjoyed it equally. Thank you very much.
Thank you.